Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. And for all the new subscribers, welcome. And for everybody else, welcome, obviously, as well. Today I want to show you how you can make your own mica powders. I will explain what you need to make them successful and why a lot of mica powders don't work. And if you stick to the end, I will show you a couple of ideas for using mica powders that are not sprays. What I want to do primarily is show you how to make your own mica spray that do work, and what you need to do to make a mica powder be successful, and why it might not be successful. So this is my box of Jacquard Pearl X. They are all mica powders. You can also, if you look on Amazon, you can find mica powders. They're used a lot in resin, I don't know how you say it. Resin is obviously one of your #1 binding agents. One of the reasons that mica powders don't work is water is not a binding agent. So if you're using only water, water won't work. So I have a cat sitting on my shoulder. If you see a nose on the left, Little is saying hello. So these are a couple of where I've used the mica sprays. I'm using these little bottles that you can buy at Dollar Tree. For 2 bottles, they're now up to $1.75 at Dollar Tree in Canada. They're probably like less elsewhere. These are mica sprays, and you can see the ghosting on the back. Excuse me for a second. Here's another one. This is all this one here. This one has metallic copper. It's the paint that I used in this is an interference paint, so it reacts a little bit differently. I don't know if I have any. That might be that. These are all primarily the teal ones. Those are not. That's just metallic paint. That's not a spray. That's the spray. You might have some in here. Quick flip. I've used it so much, I'm surprised I can't find any. I've used my mica sprays on paper, on fabric, on... This is all mica spray on here. I don't know if you can see on the leaves. See how that glimmers? So those were all sprayed first and fussy cut second, so that all you get is the glimmer on the leaves. It's in the background here. I don't know if you can see like the luster from the mica. Yeah, I don't seem to have any with the copper one. But here, I can show you. As long as it's not... These Dollar Tree bottles tend to get pretty gummed up and don't spray. I did clean the nozzles out, but I don't know if they still work. Oh, they do. So you can see the glimmer on that. That may be as much from the copper metallic paint. But let's play. So first thing you need is some water. And you're going to use primarily water. Am I on camera? Yes. I'm going to put too much water in that. Let's take a little out. That way we have room to put binding agents and stuff in. So give me 1 second and I'll give you some ideas for binding agents. Okay, so the number one obvious binding agent is acrylic paint. These are all golden acrylic. They're all liquid. You can use acrylics such as these as well. I would recommend, if you're using an acrylic, to match the acrylic to whatever your mica powder is, so that what you're getting is partly the color of your paint, but you're also getting the color of your mica powder. So the mica powder will give a shine to the paint when it dries. You can use like an interference color that will give you a shimmer depending upon what it's put on. You could use titanium white and it will give you kind of the color of the mica more than the acrylic paint because you're using a white. For clear mediums, you have gesso. This is a white gesso. It's going to dry white, but you can also get a clear gesso, so this will dry clear and all you will get is the color of your mica. Another option, this is a fabric painting medium. This is intended if you're painting with an acrylic paint on a fabric acrylic paint. It can react really weird with fabric, like very, very weird. So this changes the property of whatever you're using on top of your fabric so that it's, what does it actually say? Heat setting medium for modifying acrylic paints applied to clothing, suitable for brushing, airbrushing, screen printing, provides a soft hand and increased launderability, so washable. But that would be a binding agent as well. Acrylic inks, so like a calligraphy ink, because they are permanent. So I have two that are really, really, really dark blue. I have some iridescent ones, like that's a lime green. These are actually liquid acrylic inks, so they're like a super, super high flow. They're really fun though. Pearlescent ink, that will give shimmer and shimmer because it's pearlescent. And then I think that's it. I think those are all my options. So the other thing I bought is these little bottles, also from Dollar Tree, 2 bottles for the whopping small price of $1.25. And I bought it strictly because it has a little eyedropper in it. And I want to try the calligraphy ink because that is such a luscious blue, like such a luscious blue. This one I got at a thrift store. Black Velvet Waterproof India ink. As soon as it says waterproof, you know it's a binding agent, because an India ink 100% is a binding agent, because India ink dries permanent and doesn't go anywhere. So I should get some perhaps blank paper. Ah, there is one other thing that I wanted to try. So when I get blank paper, I am going to get some photo paper as well. So before I add ink, just going to use water. I'm going to see if I can do this without losing my desk too badly. So, what color do I want? This is where I lose a little bit of, like, this is 32 colors. How do you choose? All right, this one, that's Sunset Gold. I don't know, can you see the name on that? It's pretty like small. I think I'm gonna try this. Put just a tiny bit on the outside of my jar because that makes more sense than putting it on the inside of. You will find this, and it looks like it's going to be permanent. It is not. Like 100% is not. I need a little spoon. If you don't have a little baby spoon like that hanging out in your in with your cutlery, check the thrift store. They often sell bags, and they like have like lots. So I'm gonna say those 2 little scoops should be more than enough, way more than enough. And I don't know that this is actually going to work. I really don't. Because it doesn't have a binding agent in it, I don't believe it'll work. I had a lid for my, and not that one. There it is. Put it underneath everything. Clean up that mica powder. So I am going to use stencils today just because I can. And photo paper. The reason I'm trying photo paper is photo paper has a binding agent on the paper itself that helps inkjet, the inkjet from your toner cartridge adhere to the paper. But I don't know that it'll work with mica. But let's try and see what happens. It can only not work. Look at how pretty that is, though. Like, that shimmer, isn't that just like the nicest thing you've ever seen? Look at how that moves in there. I could look at that all day. Take the lid off. It will work better if you take the lid off. Now it does look more like, oh, there's some. Okay, that's interesting. You know how gold that is. And look at that color. That is very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I need a place to put that where it can, like, dry. Okay, I put that on my other desk. I'm going to have a look at it after the fact and see if it is permanent on that little piece of paper after the fact. I'm really curious why that turned as yellow as it did on there. So, sorry about my desk. Let's see if I can shift my weight a little. All right. So now I'm going to add some India ink into this same, because the India ink should act as a binding agent for this. Because it's blue and gold, it might turn this green, like a really, really deep green. This is all play. All play. I will also warn you, using mica spray is very messy. Very messy. Curious. Very curious. That looks primarily like water. Might be because the India ink is not very much in there. Very nice. Very nice. We'll have a look at these when they're dry so that you can see the shimmer when it's all done. Okay, so get another empty little bottle, put some water in it, try not to spill all over everywhere. I was going to put the lid on my water, but water doesn't have a lid. I'm going to use phthalo green for this one. You don't have to shake the golden. Don't ask me why I do that. I just do. Can make it bubble up, which makes a big mess. And I'm never sure how much to put in there, truthfully. So that one is spring green, which could go with the phthalo. This one's duo. It's green yellow, so it has a almost like an interference, but not quite. Depending upon how the light hits this one, it looks either green or yellow. I also have, like, a lot of these have other colors to them. Like this one is interference blue, which could be interesting in there. But I think that that might work better like over top of one of these. Oh, I guess we are using the duo. I don't know if you can see how that is already changing color as it hits the water. Perhaps not. But a lot of that color is just from the mica spray. Or not spray yet, from the mica. So paint. Let's use this again. So you can already see how much darker that is with paint, because the paint is giving part of that color. With the other one, because the India ink is so diluted in there, you don't get a lot of color from the ink itself. And basically what you're going to get from the mica is a shimmer on that piece of paper, providing it works the way it's supposed to. I've always had it work before. Because I'm filming this, watch, it won't work. Now you can already see the shimmer. Like if you look in here, you can already see a little bit of shimmer. It's very subtle, but it's there. And on this one too, can you see the glimmer here? So when it's dry, that should be permanent. So I really like that one. That will be like a go-to for me because I love turquoise. Like it's, you can kind of tell it's one of my go-to colors. I appear to be missing one of my doohickeys. Micas. Might have lost it in the move. Sorry for that noise. Okay, so that's India ink. That's acrylic paint. Now let's use clear gesso. Not the white, but clear, because if you use white gesso, what you're going to get is it having like a dulled down sheen for whatever color you're using. So if you put, let's say you put this raspberry color on, is going to be even paler than that. It would be even like less pink. So if you use like a red like this, it's going to be pink when it's done if you use a white gesso. Oh, more water in that one. Let's put some of the water back. I actually haven't used this. I do have another thing of clear gesso somewhere, but I'm not sure where. You're supposed to be able to find your stuff better after you clean up your room, not find it less. I haven't used gesso before. I'm not sure exactly how much to use. I will also mention, be really, really good. Mica will clog your little spray nozzle. So wherever possible, try to remember to clean off your little nozzles. You can see how that's picked up that color. So clean off your nozzles when you're done. Otherwise, you can clean them off after the fact by soaking your entire, like this entire contraption in water, and then just keep spraying until the water runs clear, and it should come out. Let's try this violet one. This is called True Blue. Looks violet to me, but they're calling it blue. I'm also going to wipe off that little tiny bit of mica that's on there, and then dry it with a dry wet wipe. Oh, that's almost like a periwinkle. Look at that color. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Look at that is gorgeous. Yeah, that is almost periwinkle. So you can see, now this should dry clear. Should dry clear. Because that's clear gesso. But you can already see how the gesso has made that really murky in color. And if you used a white gesso, like a regular gesso, that's going to make that really, it would dry that color. That's what you would get with the shimmer of the mica. You could use black gesso as well, and then you would get more of a black tone, which could be really fun if you're using one of the interference colors. Clean that off, because that will affect the look. Clean that off. I always think when you're doing stuff like this, if you can remove as many variables as possible. So I'm not shifting between stencils, for example. I'm not shifting between papers. So I'm removing one variable or two variables and sticking just with changing my binding agent and perhaps the color, because, you know, it's all the same. This little bit of green, it's kind of a bit like when you use a gel plate and you have residual on your gel plate. A bit like that. So you can sort of see the shimmer from the mica, but it will come out more as it dries. Should come out more as it dries. Always has before for me. Like I said, because I'm on camera, it won't. And last one, and this one I've never tried, don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to try this GAC 900 by Golden. Have no idea if it will work. It should, because it is a binding agent. Doesn't mean it will. If you try this, you may need to play around with the amounts that you add of any given whatever it is that you're using. Like, you may need more GAC 900 than you would acrylic paint, for example. Acrylic paint, you don't need a lot, but I don't know how much you need of other mediums. Whether you need a lot of gesso, a little bit of gesso, just don't know. Let's use this blue again, because I really liked it. Be prepared, this is a messy thing. Whenever you're using like an interferent spray medium of any kind, it's going to be really super messy. And you shouldn't need a lot of mica powder. That looks interesting. I think that the mica powder is not integrated into that. I can see little lumps when I turn it over. All right, let's play. I'm thinking a lot of that, you can sort of see the color in some spots on that, but not much at all here. You do see some. So one more thing I want to try, seeing as we're here, is just straight spray, no stencil. Pen, so I can tell what they are. The one thing about these bottles is they give you lousy spray, like lousy spray. I know from watching the Tim Holtz videos that you get really nice with his bottles. You can like regulate the amount of like the size of your drops. It's almost impossible with these, but they, you know, you get what you pay for. And that was a lousy little pen, so well, look at that worked. Oh, that was the one that went missing. Was that gold? It's got to be on my desk. Oh, there it is. And then that one. That one. I think that might not have been the duo. I think that was a different, oh, that was the true blue. All right, so another test, another little thing, because you're here, why not? Because I can hear the questions. Well, what if? So let's find out what if. Oh, look at that's pretty cool. Look at how cool that is. Well, that's fun. Note to self, don't pick your bottles up by the cap. Now the cap is on the floor. Look at, that's got some grunge to it and just absolutely, oh, I like that. Oh, that is fun. Okay, so what have we done? We did that one and that one. And not that one. Okay, so heat gun. Okay, apparently I didn't film any of me drying those, which is fine because that's as boring as. So you can see there may be a small bit of mica comes off on your hands. That's pretty much dry, but not 100%. This is the acrylic paint. You can see the mica powder all along the little spines where the stencil was. This is the ghost. This is sprayed through the stencil. So there's blotting and it's not very clear, but that will make really good background paper or like used in a journal as a piece of paper. That one was, I think this is the India ink with the gold. So you do get a little bit of the color from the India ink, but not a lot. It turns it kind of, like this is dry, but it looks almost like it's still wet because the color is very faint but so much fun. I really like that one. So then this one would have been the clear gesso. And again, this one's pretty good. Not a lot of, like, it doesn't come off, which means it's permanent. Because that's the thing here. I will show you. There's a little bit of mica left on there. So we can go like that. And you see it comes off on your finger and there's no mica on the paper. Like none. Like mica will not adhere to paper. It will ghost to paper, but it will not actually adhere to paper without a binding agent. It can't. which is why your mica powder might fail, is if you're not using a binding agent. This is the GAC 900, and I would call that a fail. There's a little, you can see a little bit, but basically all it did is warp the paper. No, suppose there's a small residual of mica. If you look really, really closely, you can see it, but there's no real definition. Like, you can't see the stencil. It's just nothing. So if you're spraying it, I'd say the India ink gave the best with the acrylic. If you're using a better bottle than the ones from the Dollar Tree, you might get a better result. This is a little wet still, but you can see the GAC didn't work at all. Clear Gesso worked, but again, I don't like that nearly as much as, say, the India ink or the acrylic ink. But on the photo paper, that's a GAC 900. And I kind of like that. It's ghosty and really super subtle, but you can see it. And it's permanent, like full-on permanent. That is the Gesso. Again, really ghosty, but you can see the mica on there, and it's like really cool. Really like that. Oh no, sorry, these are both the GAC 900 because I flipped them over. So one is a ghost and one is a stencil. But so good results on photo paper with the GAC 900, but not on regular paper. And that has got to be like, you can see the gold when you turn it. I don't know. Can you see the gold when it's turned? Like that shimmer of the mica. Oh, like, and then you get the India ink gives it that like almost like a sepia, and then this, like, look at that. This is the acrylic ink, which is like, I knew that would be successful, but because it always is. And look, permanent, permanent, permanent. And then that one. Very nice. And this is the very first one we did with only water and the gold. And it does not adhere. Look, see, it come off on my finger. Just kind of what I expected. I was worried. Yeah, see, all, like, you get some of that yellow, but see how much of that has come off? That's what happens with mica powder when you don't have a binding agent, is it all comes off. Nice gold fingers. Those are fun. Somewhere I have a baby wipe. Need a baby wipe. So, baby wipe. We'll take most of it off. We hope anyway, because I'm making potato soup for friends, and we don't want mica powder in our potato soup. It's underneath. Might need to have a shower to get that out from underneath my fingernails. All right. Sorry, that wasn't me farting. That was my thing. Bonus. So, bonus. I have two things I'm going to show you that should work, might not, don't always. So this is guarantee free. Guarantee free. So there are two things, other things that should work as a binding agent. One is a super juicy, really wet archival ink. And for this, I would recommend either VersaFine Clair, which is really wet, or StazOn, which is about as permanent as you can get for an ink. You can't get more permanent than Stays On ink. So what you would do is, sorry, this is number 2, bonus item number 2. This is Stays On. I'm going to use both Stays On and the Sukaniko, the VersaFine Clair, to see which is more successful, because I don't know which will be the best option. One of the two will work. And let's prep. I'm going to use Super Bronze for a reason. You'll see what the reason is on point number 2. Try to make sure it's as juicy as possible when you put it on. Am I on frame? Let's slap that right down in dead center. And then I'm going to just like use a dry baby wipe and leave that for a bit. Problem with this option is it does tend to smear, and you can get residual, but it's not actually permanent. It just looks like a hot mess. And then, just one sec. I moved my rolling cart out of the way. The other option is embossing. Should work. So this is just a very, very old, very, very grungy embossing powder. Embossing pad. Still has stick to it, so should work. Proof is in the next step. So you can see it's sort of there. So this is Super Bronze and Wow embossing powder. Super fine. Like really clear. The embossing powder is a clear emboss. And hopefully I didn't faff around it. That's dry now. So these are the same color, that and that. And then I've used this technique before and had it work. So hopefully it works. Yay. You can see that the embossing powder is stuck, as it should. Let's... Sorry for the noise. And can you see how that has turned color? So let's try to get our dry embossing. And see how all that mica powder is just cleared right off? Okay, and it did stick to, so you can see that it is adhered to the ink and definitely to the embossing powder. And the embossing powder is 100% more successful. So this is another option. If you can't afford to buy a whole bunch of embossing powder in a whole bunch of different colors, but you are drowning in embossing like these little mica powders like I am, get a big thing of Wow from I got mine off Amazon. You can see that I've used maybe a quarter of it, and I have made, like, I think I've got like almost one of every color. And they last forever and ever. You hardly need any of it. Oh, that one's empty. Let's use this one. It's like gonna be the magic color. Like, I could play with this all day. Let me show you the russet. It is like seriously such an amazing color. I won't put it on the stamp. That would be silly. Almost did though. And similar to when you're using regular embossing powder, put lots of embossing powder on your image and then just like tap it off. Because if you don't put lots on, it doesn't adhere properly. Again, I apologize in advance for the noise. I think it's so much fun to watch this turn. And can you see with this one of the things I love the most about this russet blue is that if you look at it one way, it's red, and if you look at it in another angle, it's blue. And then there are times that if you look at it just the right way, it's kind of coppery, a bit like this. So that one is, that was the stays on. Let's just try diversifying because we're here. And I'm annoying you to pieces already, so. You can already see, look at how juicy that is. Like, that is such a juicy color. And I'm going to use the russet blue. No. I'm just going to grab one. Just going to grab one. With this, you kind of have to get it on there before your ink dries. But when you spread it, like, it is this like really weird balance, because you have to get it on there before your ink dries, but if you smear it, your ink will, like, it's like fun. I don't like doing this very much. This is not my favorite way of doing it, because the recipe for absolute disaster is way too high. You get it everywhere. It gets on your fingers. It gets on your, like, it gets everywhere. This is not how I would recommend doing it. I would recommend, like, investing in some wow powder and do it that way. Oh, that was wet. Now it's all over everywhere. That might not come off because, like, yeah. Another fun thing. So anyway, those are my bonus, but you can see, like, that kind of adhered to the ink and adhered to everything and me and everything. But those are some ideas for making your own mica sprays. Using mica in embossing powder, and you can see, even with the mess that I made with the mess I made with these, you can still see the shimmer in the embossing powder. Like, it gives you this, sorry, little extra bit of like glimmer to your work. And here too, you can see how the mica has given it a little bit of additional, like just this ghosty little image, or a little bit of shine. So play around with it. And if you figure out a different binding agent for mica powders, try it. Like, there's no reason why you can't play with it. Like, with anything, when you've got, these are tools. That's all they are. They're tools. They're, these are, like, the card ones are a little bit pricey. I got mine at Michael's with a coupon. I've had them maybe 15 years. I've had them 15 years. Like, look at how much is still left. And I do use them. You don't need a lot. Like, realistically, all I would have needed to do that stamp is that amount of mica powder. But with a stamp, as soon as you put mica powder on your image, you can smear the image from your stamp, which is, but anyway, I am going on and on and on, and I just want to say thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a lovely crafty day. Bye.